Everywhere Ventures is getting a new general partner. Anna Barber is joining the firm from M13, where she will continue to stay on as a board partner. Anna has invested in startups in customer support tools, retail technology, and also companies focused on scaling childcare. I want to bring her on to talk more about her new role. Anna, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here, Akash. Thanks for having me. The announcement just launched, so it's an exciting day to be talking to you.
Well, congrats on the new role. We are very excited to talk to you about it. Tell us a little bit about what Everywhere Ventures is focused on and also what you're going to be focused on at the firm.
Everywhere Ventures is a global pre-seed firm. So for the past 8 years, partners Jenny and Scott have been investing really in the earliest stages. So first rounds across a bunch of categories, enterprise, fintech, healthcare, really focused on things like infrastructure and security and, highly technical companies, which is a great alignment also with what I've been doing at M13.
And so at the new firm, where are you really going to be planting your roots? What are you going to be focused on?
Well, we think there's an interesting opportunity with such a huge pre-seed portfolio, global brand, to do more. So, uh, Scott and Jenny haven't been able traditionally to double down on their winners and wanted to bring in a partner with lead investing experience. So I've been leading deals for the past 5 years at M13. Companies, as you mentioned, like Max Retail, Maven, AGI, Avantos, Replenish, and others. And so bringing in someone who had that experience of leading deals to complement their kind of broad-based pre-seed investing is the key to growing the firm to the next stage.
I want to talk to you about the overall state of venture capital right now. There was some data that I was looking at over the weekend. PitchBook puts out their quarterly venture monitor report, and I mean the latest one is a couple weeks old now. But the data that I keep coming back to that is staggering to me is they pointed out that VC fundraising from LPs is the lowest that it's been since 2017. And on the other hand, if you look at where capital or how much capital is being deployed by venture capital firms, I mean, that is back up to the levels that we saw in 2021, in sort of the post-pandemic era. And so you kind of have this interesting scenario where there's not a ton of money coming in, it seems, but there's a lot of money going out. And I'm just trying to make sense of all this. I mean, what is it looking like on the ground? How does the business even stay sustainable in that way?
Yeah, I think I saw that stat too. I think it's super interesting. I think what's driving this is really the largest firms at the top, what we call the mega funds, who are raising really the bulk of the venture capital. So the other trend there, overall capital raise going down, most of it is aggregating into the top firms. And they have an incredible need to deploy capital. All that capital has to go somewhere. So I think what you're seeing is actually velocity in terms of cycles of cycling capital, getting money in the door and out the door more quickly at the top, whereas the overall number of venture firms is contracting. There was another stat that was released today, which is the number of funds graduating from fund one to fund two is at a 5-year low. It's down to something like 10% of firms started in 2023 have raised a follow-on fund. So you're seeing contraction, but also this massive recycling of capital at the top end.
So this is really the phenomenon of, the idea here of kingmakers, I guess, really like you have a few really large funds at the top, you have a few really large companies that are attracting all the capital. Where does that leave opportunity then for you, in pre how do you stand out then in this climate?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have commented that a lot of what the mega funds are doing, maybe it's no longer even venture capital. So I think what's true now for smaller emerging funds is what's always been true, which is you really need to have an edge. You need to offer something distinctive. Capital is a commodity now. That's not what founders are looking for, just someone to write a check. So a firm like Everywhere that's founded by operators and traditionally funded by operators. So the LPs in Everywhere have traditionally been operators themselves. It's really able to support companies in getting off the ground in a way that is very meaningful at the earliest stages when speed is everything in a market like today. So that's really the edge is the edge of operators and being built on a community of operators. But
Can you get be I know I hear this term a lot. I'm wondering if you can get a little more specific with me in terms of like things that companies really need help with right off the bat here, as in the pre-seed round. I mean, is it engineering guidance that they need? Is it product positioning? Is it figuring out what the idea is? Like, what is the most tactical thing that you see them needing help with?
raw, unfiltered feedback from people who've actually been there, most important thing. Number 2, network connections, introductions, customers. If someone can give you a warm intro to another company, a small company, big company, place they used to work, who becomes your earliest customer, that's like oxygen for startups. And then the third thing is really networking into your next set of investors. Your first round just never goes very far. So being able to quickly circle the next round of capital, especially in a high velocity market like today, is absolutely essential. And that's a place where everywhere excels.
Hmm. One more question for you. Another stat that popped out to me from that PitchBook report was that 41% of unicorns have not raised since at least 2022. So you have these companies. I didn't look at the sector breakdown. I imagine you probably have a lot of enterprise software companies, a lot of fintech companies that raised a lot of money in the ZERP era. We of course saw the Brex acquisition a couple weeks ago. What do you think happens to all these companies that did raise a ton of money and maybe had the unicorn valuation in 2021 or 2022, and now I don't know, they're just chugging along, I guess?
Yeah, so that's my theory. My theory is that these companies are a bit stuck. They can't raise more money because they would lose valuation. So they want to hold the mark that they got in that 2022 round. So they kind of can't raise more capital. They can't exit also for similar reasons. So what a lot of these companies I think are trying to do is grow organically with no new capital to kind of catch up to the valuation that they had in 2022. So they're not zombie companies because they're profitable. In all likelihood, they're just kind of stuck or stunted in terms of being able to grow because they're trapped with a valuation that may no longer make sense.
And so what is your advice then to founders in that position? What do you tell them to do? Is it ultimately, we've written here at the information a little bit about how PE companies may be interested in rolling them up into companies that they've acquired. I mean, is it really to look for a buyer, look for a new home, or what advice do you give them?
I think capital is a means to an end, not an end to itself. And so my advice would be the same no matter what stage is build a great business and the results will follow. An interesting thing about this current market is that there are exit pathways for founders and for partial exits. While you keep building your company, there's secondary funds, there are buyers for this private stock. And to increasingly gives founders and employees some kind of an off ramp while they continue building. But I'd say just don't focus on the exit, focus on building a great company, and that can take a decade or more, and the results will follow.
Great. Well, Anna, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Anna Barber, the newest general partner at Everywhere Ventures here on TITV.